Okay, when we're speaking in terms of power development, we're really thinking about rate of force production or being able to move, whether it's ourselves or a weight, as quickly and efficiently as possible. And I'll add in safely. So it really comes down to your ability to produce force quickly, but in a safe manner. Now with the single arm dumbbell snatch, we are going to be working on your power development here. And so with this movement, what we're really thinking about doing here is generating force from the ground in order to move an implement, in this case a dumbbell here, okay? So we're using force through the ground to move the weight as opposed to just, hefting it with our arm overhead, which isn't very efficient and it becomes a lot more difficult. So let's first talk about patterning here. With a snatch, you're going to be in basically a squat stance here, and this is going to be a hip hinge. So you're bringing your hips back, bending the knees just as you would with like a barbell squat, but the weight is going to be held in one arm right down in the middle of your stance. So you're going to bring your hips back, the weight is going to drop to the floor, and then you're using force generated through the floor. So pressing here and bringing the hips forward, pressing here in order to get the weight up and overhead. When talking about the arms involvement in this exercise, it really becomes a conversation of how efficiently we're able to generate force through the floor with our feet, through the legs, with our hip drive. So coming from this bent position, bringing the hips forward, we really want to generate as much force here to produce momentum in the dumbbell to then catch it overhead. So it should look something like this. So I start in the middle of my stance, generate force through the floor, and then I'm catching and stabilizing the weight up here. Where I notice a lot of the movement inefficiencies and or just this movement being performed incorrectly really starts with the first part of the pattern where you're here. So if you need to practice getting into this position with your feet at about, your regular squat stance apart, and just work on patterning this movement first before going into the overhead portion, I suggest doing so.